Hello, my name is Rodney Turner.
And my name's Paul Gardiner.
We are both professors of project management here at Schema Business School. And we are going to be doing a course on research in project management. Our email addresses, we both have a Schema email address, but I also have a home address, rodneyturner@europrojects.co.uk. I try to actually look at emails and the Europrojects address once every 24 hours.
Okay. So Rodney, would you like to say a little bit about the research you're up to in project management?
Yeah, I've been researching over the last few years a number of areas. I've been looking at project-oriented leadership, and in fact the research on project-oriented leadership involved both qualitative and quantitative, primarily quantitative. We had interviews followed by a survey. Then I've also been looking at human resource management in project-oriented organizations. That was a qualitative review. We actually used a technique called radical constructivism. Then I've been doing research on project marketing, and so far we're just in the initial stages, and so far it's all been qualitative. In fact, we did some interviews and used a technique called activity theory to analyze the interviews. I've been doing research on project management in small to medium-sized enterprises. That was qualitative research again. I sort of shown qualitative followed by small qualitative because we did interviews, which was a primary research, but then we did a qualitative survey to get additional information to support the interviews. And I've been doing research in ethics and governance. And that was qualitative followed by a quantitative survey. And in fact, the final part of the quantitative survey we analysed using structured equation modelling. Over the next 5 sessions, in fact, I'm going to talk about each one of those research activities in turn.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing about that.
That's great.
In a few moments.
I've actually put some slides in to sort of show the literature in each one of the 5 areas, but I'm not going to talk through that. So Paul, why don't you tell us about the themes of the research you've been doing?
Okay. So my current research has been looking at what I call the strategy project system. This is where I look at beyond the project system to include the business side of organizations and the strategy side. So what I found is quite often project management is looked at too narrowly, and I think that increasingly there has been a need to expand the boundary of what we look at and what we research in this direction. So I'm very interested to share some thoughts about that. One of the topics that came out of taking on board more of the strategy was the idea of to what extent does project management actually contribute competitive advantage, or can it contribute competitive advantage to organizations and so better justify itself. So I'll be looking at some research that I was doing in that area. And also learning systems and evolutionary project management and learning is another area that I want to touch on during this set.
Right, so that's your current research. What ideas lead to your future research directions?
Okay, my research is guided by other researchers in the field that have looked at contemporary topics and the kind of evolution of project management research over the last 30 or 40 years, and particularly some research done by a group headed by Mark Winter, Rethinking Project Management. This was a network of researchers which came up with some quite novel thoughts on the future direction of project management. Some work that you were involved with yourself, 9 Schools of Project Management, is a very broad conceptualization of different areas that project management touch on, and is also a good steer for coming up with research projects. And other emerging themes that I've come across over recent years: project excellence, particularly the excellence models done by the IPMA, evolutionary learning we've mentioned, and the idea of strategy execution, which is still not well done in many organizations. I try to build on achievements in the past, and cultural perceptions of project research is something we'll be talking about later in this set, performance improvement, and the competitive advantage topic as well.
So you're going to talk through 5 seeds in the coming sessions. So would you like to tell us about the 5 seeds?
Yeah, sure. The 5 seeds, beginning with what I call role progression, which is a small research project that involved a master's student, in fact. The second one is called global project management, and is a much longer study which was part of a PhD student's work. Then I want to speak about culture and success, which was a project funded by the PMI. And the last 2, PM for competitive advantage and evolutionary learning, are my most recent pieces of research, which began small and are now funded by the PMI as well.
Right, so that sounds very interesting. So in fact our aim is to do 10 seeds: leadership, human resource management, project marketing, project management of small to medium-sized enterprises, and project and ethics.
Role progression, global project management, culture and success, project management for competitive advantage, and evolutionary learning.